Welcome, everyone, to Life Shifting with Alita St. James in Hell's Kitchen in New York City, Manhattan, NYC. Today, we're going to talk about life-shifting fear into believing and success. Everything that's going on in the world is really hitting us one thing after another, after another, after another. There was the quarantine, the virus, this whole situation with George Floyd, the upheaval of all the injustice that's been happening and how we need to mediate it and find solutions so that we don't live in this inequality anymore. And when anything changes so many times, it's the breakdown before the breakthrough. So I've been talking to various friends of mine that are in the police department, and basically they're saying that it's getting redistributed in a better way in terms of taking things off their plate and just having them deal with criminal actions and having other agencies deal with the things that they had to do before, and it's much better for them. So this idea about cutting funding wasn't really explained properly. So what they're saying to me in the feedback on the street is basically it's probably going to get worse in a lot of ways before it gets better, but it looks like it's harmonizing itself out, which is what we need to understand while we're going through this, that just because things seem like they're polarized and very violent, it doesn't mean that the end point isn't going to be achieved if we're also thinking at a high vibrational rate of solutions and a new paradigm that we're creating in this world. We're not going to be able to function the way we normally did, which can be a really good thing. In many ways, between the pandemic and this whole situation going on right now, we're getting gutted to the root. And because we're gutted to the root, we can only rise and thrive above that if we hold on to believing in the vision of our country and then the global vision of equality and love of mankind, and then understand that our success comes from the oneness, which is a higher spiritual thought than just the me and I. But within all this turmoil, what I'm seeing, which is very prevalent with people that I'm working with and what I'm listening to, is that on a day-to-day basis, because things have contracted, businesses have contracted, finances are getting slim, people are just on their last nerve in terms of being home and they're wanting to get out and they're not quite sure if they get out, is the pandemic going to come back because certain numbers are increasing. There's uncertainty all around. And what I was hearing from many of my A-type functioning clients is that they feel like they're losers now, because every time they try to do something, put the normal pedal to the metal and use the techniques that they've used before in terms of creating, it's not working. So it's very debilitating, and I don't know if you're feeling this out there in terms of things that you've been trying, or the fact that you're home, you're working, the children are screaming, you're just waiting to get out, but where are you going to go? It's like, when is this going to end? Now that there's riots or protesters in certain neighborhoods, it doesn't feel safe to be out on the street, which also creates fear in the vortex. Not that people shouldn't have a voice, but it's just what happens. It's the result and effect, cause and effect. So in our field, we've got the feelings of hopelessness. Are we ever going to get out of this? And then from that comes a block, which says, if I can't create change now, then perhaps I'm looking at failure. And I'm looking at the fact that I'm powerless. And if I feel like I can't control something, that means I'm a loser. And the result is going to be disastrous in terms of my family, in terms of myself, in terms of our future. But I want to add some insight to this. And I spoke about, I think 2 sessions ago, the breakdown before the breakthrough. The same is happening right now. We are in something called a transition, the gap. In AA, they call it in the hallway, where the old is not functioning anymore. That's all breaking down. But we're not quite sure of what the new paradigm is going to be in terms of equality for everyone in their lifestyle and in their abilities to be successful, and for the opportunities that America offers all mankind to be able to take advantage of. We're not quite sure how the systems are going to be put into place, but we need to hold the vision of believing in ourselves as well as the people that can come together and create what we need to create to get to the next paradigm. If you, on a personal level, because you feel like you've been battered down and just one more thing, and how am I going to pay the rent, and what's going to happen to the kids over the summer? Are we going to have more of the same? Where we're in isolation and in small, especially in Manhattan, they're really small apartments, all right? It's not like you can go out in the backyard and play. Children are like having a whole different experience of their childhood in different places other than in the suburbs. So then you wonder, okay, are they ever going to understand what normal is and how normal children are? And are they going to give me a break? All right? Because so many parents are at their breaking point. And they could be at their breaking point at work because their salaries were cut by 20%. And they're figuring out, how am I going to pay the bills? At their breaking point in terms of, where is my career going? Am I going to be able to reinvent myself? Is there something else that I can be doing that's going to be creating income for myself in a different way? Now, as I was saying, which I'm seeing in my clients, and I'm certainly supporting them in the remote private sessions, let's reinvent yourself in terms of possibilities of what you can do. But I'll be talking and healing till I'm blue in the face and releasing fear if the person that I'm working with loses belief in themselves. And think about it. You know, it's like going through a war, and it's just one battle after the next, and you get battle torn. And you can try to think positive and move into that space, but when things in reality are hitting you with no, and not being able to move ahead, and finances contracting, and questions about your children's future and your future, in the reality, in the third dimension, it can starting to feel very bleak, because I believe now we're 3 months into this situation. But my point is what Eric Butterworth said when he had to speak. He was a Unity minister, he's no longer with us, in front of all these men that were laid off when the Depression hit, is, what am I going to say? He thought, can't talk about positive thinking now. And what came to him right before he had to speak, and he was going over this and over this in his head, he was wondering what was going to come out. When things are tough, the tough get going. And I got the chills on that. Things are tough right now on all fronts, in terms of voices being heard, in terms of changes that have to be taken into account, in terms of leveling the playing field in a fair and just way. When things get tough, the tough get going. So if you've actually felt like you're in a gerbil wheel right now, and one day is bleeding into the next, and you're not able to kind of be creative and change a shift, and what's happening in your relationships is that you're really starting to go at each other. In the beginning, it might have been a lot of fun to cook with each other and this and that, but now it seems like the issues are coming up. I'm hearing that more and more with my clients, and people are wanting to get divorces and get separated and not be with each other. And I tell them, just take a deep breath. astrologically, if anybody believes in astrology, but it has a way of really symbolizing what's going on. We've got a Venus retrograde. It's been going on 6 or 7 weeks now, where the planet of love is backwards. And then we have a Mars retrograde coming up that we've been in the channel of, the shadow of. And that is like miscommunications and technology breaking down. I mean, it started this week for me. We're trying to do Zoom calls, and all of a sudden they weren't hooking up and the phones weren't working. We got it through, but it already started. So I'm seeing explosions in personal relationships. But what I'm saying, and all across the board, personally, and also transpersonally and globally, believing is going to lead us to success. So we're going to help work here with our own sense of disbelieving that we might have fallen into during this 3-month period, and then with this whole explosion that happened and the uncertainty that's going on right now. We are definitely in the gap. Nobody likes to be in the gap. That's a transition period. Uncertainty is the most uncomfortable place for humans to be. Everybody kind of want to know. That's why psychics are always, being dialed up. What do you think's going to happen? Astrologists are really working right now a lot because people want to know, what is my future like? Is something, do I have Jupiter smiling on me? Or is it more of going to be the same? A feeling like I'm paddling upstream and the flow is coming towards me and I don't seem to be able to get ahead. But more importantly, I don't get a vision of what my future is. Well, the magic that I'm teaching is that you need to create your future in your visualization, where you go up into your higher frequencies, into the miraculous, into that field of love, into that quantum field, unlimited possibility, as Deepak would say, and you start to create from that. You release all the negative feelings in the emotional body that are in the lower chakras, which deal with survival, which means that, we're in the cave, the dinosaur's outside, and it's fight or flight. You don't get a chance to kind of think creatively. It's one or the other. So often right now, we're in that survival mode and we can't get out of it or create our vision of the future because we're stuck in what's happening right now. And what's worse that's happening is that we're starting to slip down the slippery slope and not believe in ourselves because we don't seem to be acing it. We're not winning. So often, especially being Americans, and I'm certainly part of that tribe, it's about you're here and you can be a winner. And so we're programmed that if you work really hard and you do everything that you're supposed to do and you go to school and you do all this stuff, you're going to win. Well, guess what? That's not what's happening right now. You can be doing all that and then all of a sudden you're working at home. Who would ever thought 5 months ago that we would be working at home? Who would have ever thought that there's going to be a whole paradigm shift in terms of finances, in terms of things that were really important? Think about it right now. What was important 5 or 6 months ago doesn't seem to be important now. Where the kids are supposed to be going to, summer camp, they're closed. What's going to happen with schools? It's all virtual online. We're all trying to figure out how to make that happen. At work, no more offices. We're moving into working at home. There's a client of mine that's trying to figure out how to make that easier for people. So, because that seems to be the new normal. And a lot of people love working at home. They feel like they can be more creative. Unfortunately, they wind up working more because they get up, they're in their pajamas, and they go to work, and they finish in their pajamas and at work. So the fact of the matter is many bosses are liking this. They're liking, I don't have to pay the real estate rents. I can just have my people at home. And so they have to scurry around. Now, how is that going to look for a corporation where we still stay connected and people still understand? So the thing is that within that, the vision needs to be that it's going to be better for people, and that one has to believe in where this is going, even though we're in shifting and gliding right now. A lot of what I talk about in energy transformations, life shifting, is that you learn to shift and glide through things. If you are neuroplastic, which that's what your brain is, and something comes up and it's not the norm, the faster you shift and glide through it, the better you're going to feel about yourself. So I want to share a story that's a big win for me in terms of shifting and gliding and being able to think, in the miraculous and hold really strong to my vision. That's a thing that I was sharing with you that created me getting pregnant at 57. There was never a doubt in my mind. I never stopped believing that this was going to happen. Never. And if somebody said to me, "You're crazy, do you realize your age, what the percentages are?" I'd say, "I don't want to hear what the percentages are, and I'm going to get pregnant. Maybe you won't, and maybe you don't want to, but I do. I know that's my destiny, part of my destiny." And it took me 7 years. I went through miscarriages. I went through one failed in vitro. I went through a lot of physical things getting pregnant and having my children. But I kept on keeping on because I knew that at the end of it, I was going to be successful, and I was. Now we went into another situation that I've been sharing with you, and the outcome has been amazing. There was a reason why I needed to change my child's school in the middle of the pandemic. There was an unsafe situation, and the whole administration was definitely on my side in the school. But the big question that came out was, is she going to be able to do this? I never thought ever that I wasn't going to be able to change schools. Middle of the pandemic, got all the paperwork out, worked really hard with my assistant, JP, never stopped believing that I was going to do this. Found the people that I needed to connect. Nobody's in school now. Everybody's doing virtual. Found out that there's, waiting lists and this and that. Found the school that I really wanted. Put that energy in, got the paperwork out, kept believing, kept seeing in that miraculous vortex. And before you knew it, within 3 weeks, this could have taken me a year, all right? Within 3 weeks, he got the placement, the one place that was left. I never stopped believing. And it happened. Now, I'm saying to you, in this 3-month period, where have you stopped believing in yourself? Where have you started to maybe get into the negative loop about things that are upsetting you? It's not that they won't. It's not that everything's going to be peachy cream all the time, but you want to make that shorter and shorter and shorter. For all my clients that I work with, it's called shift up. Feel it, hold it for the count of 5, release it, open that energy up, and then move into higher consciousness, because that's what creates the difference. That's what creates the change. Otherwise, you're in the present and you're creating from traumas from the past. In the present and creating from traumas that are happening in terms of this isolation that our people are feeling, or the loneliness. If you're feeling lonely and isolated and you don't see anything in your future because you're not even imagining or creating it, then that's the only thing you have to think about. And that's why alcoholism is on the rise. And there's, marital and spousal abuse and children being abused because people feel like they're trapped and they're coming from the densest level of anger and hatred and injustice and prejudice instead of coming from faith, trust, belief, courage, creativity, and believing. When you have all those positive energies, the appreciation and gratitude for who you are and what you've created, there's no room for fear and doubt and not believing in yourself. I mean, this morning when I really allowed myself to take in the fact that my son's whole paradigm is going to shift now. He's going to have amazing opportunities now because he's not in a certain situation. I got this feeling of appreciation and gratitude for what took place because it was in the miraculous. It was using the energy, riding the waves, never taking no. I knew it was going to come to pass. And so for you, in terms of what you want to create, you might not know what that next level is, but you want to believe in yourself to know. There was something called God Didn't Make Any Trash, all right? There was a cartoon that came out like that at one point. Hook in there and say, I know that I'm a magnificent being and I have a path of destiny, and that destiny needs to be fulfilled. And I am going to keep on keeping on believing. That song, Don't Stop Believing, remember the feeling. Well, yeah, you've got to get back into the feeling because the emotional feeling is the thing that creates the magic. And moving into the field of the miraculous, that's the one that creates the miracles. If they can have a remission in terms of the healers, and certainly in my practice, I've seen amazing things happen where people have shifted, created relationships, created new careers. Even now, it's like amazing how people are just thriving and growing because they're working the system and we're visualizing it. I'm putting into their energy field as an energy healer. I'm amping up their ability to create. So people are actually changing in moments. So once we do a meditation and I hook into what that higher vision is, what the destiny is that my individual clients wants to achieve, it starts to roll out rapidly. It's amazing. I mean, I'm getting, people saying like testimonials, Alita, I can't believe it. It happened in a day. The very next day, this guy called me up and I'm all of a sudden starting a new career. Or this very next day, I got connected to this person and we're actually starting a relationship. And this very next day, my child finally got to a point where he's realizing that he needs to help me in the house and reach his highest potential because I kept visualizing that. I have one client whose son had a really hard time sleeping. And she was doing sleeping meds, nothing. Because the kids are up now till 6 and 7 o'clock, because that's how it is, on their phones with their friends. So I said, just put it in the vortex. Just see him going to sleep at 1 o'clock and he's healthy and he sleeps through the night. And she looked at me like I had 10 heads because she's been battling with it like many, many, many parents are right now. And she said, okay, all right. And she did that. And sure enough, he's going to sleep at 1 o'clock and sleeping right through. That was a big win. And if you're a parent, you understand that because we weren't brought up that way. Who went to sleep at 6 or 7 in the morning? Nobody. The kids are doing that now, especially the boys. And so you go, all right, how can I create a paradigm shift when even medication to make him go to sleep isn't happening? Because he rode above it. His will was so great, he was going to be with his friends on the phone. That seems to have taken care of itself. So it wasn't direct, listen to me. It was, let me visualize your highest potential and your highest self and just see that in the vortex, in the miraculous. And let's see how that translates. And sure enough, that was a miracle. So you can have miracles too. If these people, my clients and others in the world that are using these principles can see miracles and have great paradigm shifts and keep believing in themselves, even through this gap period when it's really, really difficult, that's the time you need to believe in yourself. It's easy to believe in yourself when things are going great. It's easy to believe in yourself when, money's flying in and the kids are great and you're in a great relationship. It's when you have to put the pedal to the metal. When things get tough, the tough get going. You got to dig down deep and go, what do I really believe? Because that separates, what do they say? The girls from the babies or whatever, that separates the men from the boys. I don't want to get sexist, but you know what I'm talking about, all right? That's when you know, do I believe? I can't just believe when things are good. I have to believe, especially when things are challenging and it's come to pass. We have to tell the brain it's come to pass. This isn't forever. Now what I'd like us to do is our inner work, because we have to clear the emotional body. If you don't, and you decide to envision or say affirmations, it's like putting a coat of paint on oil. Oil is going to eventually seep through. So you want to clear that emotional body with breath and with light. And then you want to be able to move up using the pineal gland, that gateway into spirituality, into that whole manifesting vortex of the miraculous, and then start to imagine what you want to happen going into your future, and not dwelling on what you don't want to happen, because you're putting all your equity into creating what you don't want rather than what you do, which I'm sure you don't want to do that. Okay, so this is how you clear the emotional body. This is what I do in my private sessions more intensively, but you'll get a feeling of it. So from a chakra 6 inches above your head, just see or feel this gold sun, and let the rays of this gold sun come in through the top of your head and go through your whole body. And then drop your jaw and start to breathe in through your mouth and exhale. And now breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth and exhale. And as you're breathing in, keep feeling the rays of the sun going through every cell of your body. And you can start to feel it actually vibrate and expand. Gold transforms energy. So in a transformed dense energy of fear and non-believing and doubt into creative energy of believing, success, creativity, solutions, possibility. So breathing and releasing. And then what I want you to do is connect to your heart center, because your heart is the gateway to your emotions. It is the gateway to healing. And when you connect to your heart center, breathing, you can leave your eyes open or close them. Just ask yourself, what am I holding on to just from this week or this 3 months feeling? What am I feeling about doubt or not believing, or I'm on my last nerve, or I just don't see any light at the end of the tunnel? Whatever negativity is there, it's okay. Just breathe it up, hold it for the count of 5, and then I want you to release it. Feel like you're releasing it into the field, into the universe. And then again, feel it in the heart center. Hold it for the count of 5. I'm a loser, I'm a failure, it's not happening, it's never going to happen, whatever that is. And then release it into the light. Those are feelings, not facts. That's not you. All right, now what I'm going to do is use the drum. And the drum sends the energy to help you release the healing energy into your cells. All right, take a deep breath in. Feel that heart center, any negative feelings that are there, and let's lift them out. And exhale. Now, many of you are going to feel lighter, more open. That's great. If you still feel stuck, just go on to the next part of this meditation and you'll see more things will be moving, and you can always go back and practice. I want you to practice these techniques every single day, because then you become a shifter and a glider. You become a life shifter. You become somebody who can manifest in the vortex in nanoseconds and get yourself out of negative thinking quickly, but you need to practice. It's not normal for our human being nature to do this. We're usually coming from the bottom chakras, which are survival. All right, we want to come from creativity, solutions, possibility thinking, and spiritual unity. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to feel that there's a white pearl at the tip of your tailbone. And as you're breathing in through your nose, that pearl is going all the way up past the first, second, and third chakras, which are survival, all the way in through your solar plexus, heart center, all the way up to the pineal gland. You keep the energy there, you hold the breath, and then you exhale and feel that you're releasing the past. And then you do that again. Feel that pearl going up all the way past your heart center to the top of the head where the pineal gland is. That's a gateway to spirituality. Hold the breath, let it build. And then exhale. And now on this time, I want you to let it go up. Pearl is going up the spine, right in that central cavity, all the way up to the pineal. Let the energy build up in there. And then I want you to open that crown and feel that there's this whole opening to this bigger, higher dimension. For me, I connect to the miraculous. For you, it can be the God of your understanding, beings of light, guides, guardian angels, whatever it is. Just feel that spiritual energy, that quantum field where all things are possible. And then start to imagine something that really makes you happy. And then from there, I want you to envision believing in yourself again and feel what that feels like. And I want you to envision the things that you want to create as if they're already happening in your imagination, and get the feeling going around them. Envision your future as if it's already happening in all aspects of what you want to create. And let that build, and let that build and filter down into your body, so your body gets the message of what it needs to create and connect into. Because we cleared the frequency for you now. You're not dense. You can receive this higher spiritual energy. Breathe. Believe. And then I want you to feel all that you're envisioning. Hold it. And repeat after me. I am the light. The light is within me. The light moves throughout me. The light surrounds me. The light protects me. I am the light. And now I want you to move into we are the light. The light is within us. The light moves throughout us. The light surrounds us. The light protects us. We are the light. And breathe that in, because that is your spiritual energy into your physical, which creates a spiritual being having a physical experience, which is you. You want to move into your super beingness, the miraculous, going beyond limitations and density of this third dimension. And then I want you to move into, I am blessed and I believe in myself. I am blessed and I know I have a destiny that I am going to fulfill. I am blessed and I surrender to what is going on before me. while I'm holding the vision, and I let go of how I feel things need to happen and open up to the divine. I let go and let God, the universe, and all there is. I am blessed. My life is blessed. My relationships are blessed. My finances are blessed. And I believe in the magnificence of who I am and what I'm here to create. And I send it out into the universe in terms of the vision of equality and justice that we're moving into with spiritual unity of the highest level, where we're using the highest forces to create the solutions to the situations that are in front of us, so that we have resolution and we're moving into the oneness and a higher frequency and consciousness for all of God's children. All of God's children. Feel the power of believing and the amping up of the energy for us to create success personally and globally, and make the paradigm shift that's in front of us right now. Take the challenge and shift up and create a new world and a new reality that will give you a sense of peace, happiness, joy, fulfillment, and justice. My love and blessings to you on your journey. Work with this energy. The more you work with it, the more you become part of it. And know that the healing energy is in these videos. It goes on and on. So when you visit it again and again, the healing energy is still coming through the video and my voice and my words and the light. And if anybody needs a private session, a remote session, because they want to get to the next level, please contact us at alita@alitastjames.com, and JP will put you in the book. My love and blessings to you on your journey, Alita St. James. And Jimmy, even if you're not here in the physical, you always got such a charge out of these broadcasts. May you be smiling in the level of consciousness that you're abiding in right now. Amen.